wśród gości zagranicznych panią mecenas, członka Rady Izby Adwokackiej w Paryżu, panią Rusen Aytaç. Bardzo proszę.
Thank you, Mr. President. First and foremost, I would like to emphasize the importance of the work of the Polish Senate here today. And above all, I want to thank this honorable House for supporting the rule of law, human rights, and democracy. Given the time constraints, I prepared very short presentation, so please accept my apologizes for the rapid overview of the subject as important as independence of justice. Last month, I attended a conference in Paris Bar Association with the Dean of Warsaw Bar discussing the situation of state of law. It was already an opportunity for me to explain why the French model, which is often disinclined to question itself, may introduce sometimes a host of inconsistencies. Our model is a product of its unique history and socio-political context. That's why one cannot simply export this model to any other countries. Of course, there isn't a democratic country in the world which does not wonder how to make its judiciary really independent and how to make its judges and prosecutors more impartial. It is often a question of balance of power between the executive and the judiciary. Last week, thousands of people, judges and lawyers from many European Union member states marched in Warsaw to protest the draft Polish law and support judicial independence and the rule of law in Poland. Unfortunately, I couldn't be there, and I really regret that. But today, on behalf of Paris Bar Association and its 30,000 lawyers, I would like to express my full support with all those who speak out against the new legislation, which will undermine the independence of the judiciary and Poland's democracy. A few words about France. France is a country of law and of rights, but it isn't a country of judges. By that, I mean that compared with the other European countries, France has a lower number of judges per 100,000 inhabitants. In addition, judges and prosecutors do not come from the bar. They are recruited via competition after having obtained a law degree. Over a long period of time, the question of judicial discipline was tackled with discretion in France. As you know, judges and prosecutors are obliged to respect the duties and obligations which appear in the regulation dated 22 December 1958, law related to the statute of magistracy. Its Article 10, related to the duty of reserve, provides a point of reference for the reform which is currently under discussion in Poland. However, this provision doesn't prevent or discourage judicial participation in the country's political life in France. For example, in the last presidential elections, several French judges had signed an opinion pieces published in a weekly newspaper to denounce and expose the threats to the rule of law in the far right if the far right government came to power. One of the anti-corruption watchdogs in France, Anti-Corruption, a civil society organization, is led by a judge, member of the Labor Court, and French National Assembly president is currently under investigation after complaints of this group. I'm sorry to have to say that, but this legislation isn't inspired by French law. Controlling the National Council of Judiciary, stacking the Constitutional Court is loyalist, power to fire judges is recalling the sad fate of the justice in another country that I know very well, I mean Turkey. So, for Poland, this is certainly in the true sense of word, turning its back on Europe. Thank you.